Unsupermarket. Look at us. We're together.
We're not normally together.
Yeah. How exciting. You know, an amazing thing happened this last week, Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let me guess, Jane.
What is it?
A little ray of sunshine.
Ah, yeah. A little bit of sunrise. We were actually on Sunrise Channel 7 talking about shoppers and the alternatives that they have for shopping and some serious money saving at Box Divvy. Mm-hmm. It was a good interview. And what we'll do is we'll put it in below in the description.
Excellent. Yeah. So everyone can have a look. View it. So I know actually when I viewed it, Jane, that Matt seemed seriously impressed with the Box Divvy tick lots of boxes. Yep. So we're building community, we're reducing packaging, we've got a low carbon footprint, and there's savings plus.
Yep, absolutely. We'll put that, as I said, in the link so people can watch that interview.
Today, Jane, we will be interviewing Elizabeth Valek from Cloverfields, an Australian soap manufacturer who's extremely enthusiastic about their recyclable packaging.
Okay.
So I thought it would be a good idea to interview also Eugenie, the marketing manager of RecycleSmart, with whom we're recycling soft plastics.
Welcome, Eugenie.
Hello, hi.
Eugenie, the word recyclers, it's not just a word, but it's an action. And at Box Divvy, we're recycling a lot of soft plastics through RecycleSmart. What are soft plastics and how do we know that it's a soft plastic when we look at it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So soft plastics, they're all the plastics that are flexible packaging. So you usually find them around your breads or your veggies or lots of many things, your plastic bags, like all this plastic that is soft and scrunchable is soft plastic. So the way we describe it is it's a scrunchable plastic. So when you take it, you can do the ball test. So you scrunch it up in a ball, and if it more or less stays as a ball, once you've scrunched it, it's the soft plastics.
Oh, what a great idea. That's amazing. There's a definite positive impact on our planet with recycling these, I think. In our corner of the world, what are the results of these crunchable plastics that you're talking about and recycling them?
So like with anything in recycling, when you recycle an item, you make sure of a number of things. So in Australia, you make sure, one, that they don't end up in landfill, which is a complete waste of resource because it's made of petroleum. So it can be like, there's lots of things that come into the production of those soft plastics, and putting them in the ground is just a waste of resource. Not to mention that landfills are not the best environmental outcome. They can be chemical leaks, and just like overall, they can fly away very easily because they're so light materials. So there's contamination to the environment. And then lastly, so by doing all of that, you actually save resources because instead of digging up new resources from the ground, you're reusing stuff that's already been produced. And by doing that, you reduce a lot your carbon footprint.
And how much around about have we taken out of the landfill in RecycleSmart?
So at RecycleSmart, we've been operating for 5 years now, and we've just celebrated a huge milestone for us that we're very, very proud about. We've diverted over 1 million kilograms of resources. So that's not just soft plastics, but also all the other items we collect. But it's a huge number, and we're really, really proud of it. And that we've achieved that thanks to a community of amazing people that are really committed to recycling and have jumped on the service and gone out of their way to find the right solution for all those tricky items.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So can you take us briefly through, Eugenie, the process of recycling the soft plastics?
Yeah, totally. So at the moment at RecycleSmart, we partner with a number of soft plastics recyclers, and they have different processes. So one of them uses what is called the pyrolysis technique. It consists in like bringing those soft plastics at a very, very hot temperature with that oxygen, and that way it's turned back into oil. And so that oil can then be sold to refinery, where it can be refined back into plastic pellets again. And those plastic pellets, those little plastic pellets, like little plastic beads, can be then turned back into packaging, and it can be like food grade packaging again. So that one is a fully circular solution, which is the best outcome when we're trying to build a circular economy, so that the resource that was intended for a specific use is then turned back into, again, that specific use. And it's very virtuous because that guarantees that you have a down market. So that's one option we use. The other option uses soft plastics for a number of things. the most iconic product they're using it in is an additive for asphalts, and so it's used for building roads.
Okay, so is that when you say, is it asphalt for roads? Is that what
Yes.
you're?
Yes,
Oh,
so
okay.
they're like
All
two
right.
different things. Yeah.
Great. What a great idea. What would you like to say to our Box Divvy members who are involved in the soft plastics program? What sort of things would you like them to collect?
So first of all, I'd like to say thank you, because soft plastics, we feel like they're everywhere, even when we try and reduce them. So I think it's important that we all pay attention to them and try to do the right thing. So thank you. Then I'll give a few tips to improve the recycling. Well, one, because they're so light and scrunchable, the best way to store them is to use a small, tight soft plastics bag, the smallest size that you have, so you can just all scrunch them in there. It takes up so less space and it's less messy in the kitchen, which usually improves the amount of stuff that they recycle, because no one wants a messy bag with flying soft plastics everywhere in the kitchen. And then the type of soft, make sure it's actual soft plastic, so do the scrunch test. And then the only thing that we ask, that they need to be reasonably clean. You don't need to wash them thoroughly. It's not necessary, but just wiping out any food left over will just make sure it's not contaminating the rest. And the very important thing is to make sure they're dry, so that they don't get moldy, because that's not that's a problem for the recycling process. So there's that. And then the last thing I would say is, obviously, as much as you can, try and reduce. So if you see a piece of soft plastics that always comes around in your kitchen, try to stop and think if there's another way, another product that you could use, a bag that you could bring to the shop to put it in. It's not always possible, and I'm the first guilty. It's not always easy to go out of our way and go to a bakery instead of the supermarket for your bread or whatever. But just try and think on how you could reduce, because ultimately that's still the best outcome.
Okay, Eugenie, thank you so much.
And thank you for popping in. It was great to hear more about what RecycleSmart do and the ways we can also train our members to. And I love the fact that you pointed out, just even by collecting them in that small bag. And my hub has been one of the hubs doing a trial, and it actually has shocked me how much soft plastics from other shopping outside of Box Divvy they've collected and brought back to the hub. And I think it's a really good point to stop and think about, is there another way that you can purchase something without all of that packaging and soft plastic? So thank you for popping in. It was very informative.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for working with RecycleSmart with your hubs and for all the work you do, because I love the idea of Box Divvy and the closeness to the farmers, the reduced packaging, the fresh produce, we're all working in the same direction. So thank you so much.
Thanks. This week, Lee, Jordan and I dropped in to see Elizabeth Valek, and she's owner of Cloverfields. Let's hear more about soap manufacturing. Hi everyone, welcome to Unsupermarket podcast, and this week, very excited, we've got Elizabeth Valek from Cloverfields, which is a soap manufacturer, but not just a soap manufacturer. So we're going to get down. Thank you, welcome.
Oh, thank you.
I'd love to know about your early days in the Blue Mountains, if you'd like to tell us a little bit about that.
Well, very humble beginnings. I actually had an injury and couldn't walk for a while, and living in the Blue Mountains, I had a job lined up at Westmead Hospital and sadly couldn't do that job. I was a nurse by profession, so I just started making little gifty things, bath salts and perfume things. I was housebound a lot of the time, and the local church up there had some of them for their fete, and one of the ladies that actually from the church, from the Anglican church, came down and she said, you could sell these if you wanted to. And I said, no. She said, well, they're beautiful. And that was what started. So I started with little scented drawer sachets, handmade soap and bath salts.
Oh, wonderful.
And it really and truly was a cottage industry.
Mm-hmm. And at that time, were you making your soaps from animal fat?
Yes, tallow based.
So tell me about that transition and what gave the light bulb moment.
Well, from there, very, very quickly I could see that there was interest in non-animal product, and I'd seen soaps overseas. So pursuing going from tallow-based soap base to a palm base was our next move, and both Unilever and Colgate actually produced palm-based and non-animal based then at the time, which was a new move for them. So I was right at the beginning of that.
You're on
change.
the cutting edge.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
So
in 1983, this is about the time, was it, that this happened?
Yeah.
So I was watching all the range of bar soap slowly shrinking on the shelves, and we started moving into plastic bottles and hand dispensing soaps. So what was in your mind when that was happening?
What was in my mind was, oh my gosh, luckily we make both. So I actually had a consultancy firm through Australian Business. I was in a mentorship program, and they have access to a huge lot of industry data and benchmarking. And the prediction was that bar soaps would just be, so flat worldwide, and only liquid soaps would take over. Well, in actual fact, that didn't happen because bar soaps are very economical. Liquid soap has its uses, in fact, for the ease of dispensing it at the sink. They both have their place. I use both. But bar soaps have come back into their own. So luckily, we held tight with that.
You have done something very miraculous with the numbers of saving bottles from landfill. How many bottles are we up to in saving?
I think a couple of million now.
Couple of million, like lucky 2 and above. I think that is amazing. So well done on that.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting, and I'm not alone in that. It's just a really good movement. I mean, there's still things that cannot be modified, and we still have some PET bottles and aluminium. We've changed a lot of products to aluminium. All of the bottles we're using now are recyclable in one form or another, but if we can go to solid product and packaging that doesn't require any bottles, we're even one step ahead, which is what we've done with our shampoo bars.
Can you tell me what the difference is between a shampoo soap, because you've got these wonderful shampoo soaps, and a body soap?
Well, soap in itself is just a different structure. It's made from oils and it's saponified, so it's a process to form it into a solid. And the pH is generally higher. It's more alkaline, which is what it has to be a soap and to function. The shampoo bars that we make are non-soap, and they're made from natural oils, mainly coconut based. They're pH balanced for hair and skin. So you can use them also as a body bar, and literally an all-in-one. So they're brilliant for when you travel. And both our soap bars and our shampoo bars have a great benefit, as you've said, that they don't have any extra packaging. You can just take one bar. And the bars that we make for our shampoo are conditioning as well. So you can have one bar and just do everything.
I've used it. I noticed that. Yeah, it's beautiful. My hair is just so feeling soft and clean.
We're really happy with it. Yeah. It took us a long time in research and development to get that right, and they're still making headway in the world for people to change. They're used to having liquids, and there were some unexpected benefits along the way, like people with disabilities who can't manipulate bottles, people who don't have good eyesight, that getting confused with what they're using, conditioner and shampoo, reading labels. The bar just does everything. It's just easy. You
mentioned Geneva, your daughter. So family business. Yes. Tell me what it's like to work family.
My daughter's only just 27 still, so she brings to the table a young aspect of how to do things. The people that work here that are the younger ones, where we've had our employees for ages, they stay till they retire. So the younger ones that we bring in, they do fun things. They look at things with a new input, and that's got to be appreciated. So,
absolutely. Yeah. And I noticed there are a lot of women in the in your business. When you started, we had a thing called the glass ceiling.
Oh, yeah.
It's still there. What things did you find that you needed to sort of, pushing your way through in your industry?
Mainly because I was young and I was married at the time, and despite that it was my business, I would get sales reps just asked to see my husband or my father. Automatically, that I was negated that way, and I just used to hold my own. I remember being in a board meeting at the bank for a loan, substantial loan, to buy machinery, and they wanted to know if I was going to have children and wouldn't be, that would cripple me as being able to function as a person, and that would jeopardise their consideration of me commercially for and I was just stunned. I couldn't even think of something to say. They wouldn't ask that of a man. So there are little differences. And then I always thought, won't it be fabulous when I get to be 30 or 40 and I won't be looking young and people won't do that? And I very quickly found out that then you move into a whole nother phase of then you're old. And
at 30 and 40.
I'm way past that now, but now I'm sort of, yes, but not everybody, and you just have to hold your own.
Yeah.
And I think that there's still a lot. I raised my daughter to believe and that you can do anything you want, and there are no obstacles. It's how you conduct yourself, and I still stand by that. And when I'm presented with those difficult situations, I just have to be very gracious and hold my own.
Where was the moment where you went, right now we're going to start exporting and sending our product away from Australia?
Many years ago, we actually actively got an export market development grant, and I travelled extensively. Even in 2019, did a trade fair in Hong Kong, and went after pharmacy groups and department stores, and we had very...
Was this boots on the ground and you
boots
knocking
on the
door?
ground? It's different. A little bit different now how you would approach that, and I don't need to be jumping off and on planes and running around anymore. A little bit, but not as much. And just knowing that your product had a broader audience and saying, well, let's look at distributors, let's look at duplicating what we do in Australia overseas. And then you've got various government departments who can assist you with that.
And did you find they helped you?
Yeah. In the past, yes. And they've become very downsized since, and it's hard for Australian exporters, and I often get asked to mentor people through various organisations, especially young women in business, and I just say to them, you've just got to keep plodding and
keep knocking on those doors.
Keep knocking on those doors if it means that you need to do the face-to-face, because it depends on who you're talking to.
So what you're talking about value of Australian businesses. What do people need to know about how we can get on board and help valuing our Australian businesses?
You can't expect people to pay a great deal more for a product just because it's made in Australia. It has to have the chops, it has to walk the talk, it has to be affordable. But where it is comparable, have a look and realise that every time you're buying something, there's real people behind that. There's somebody's job. And lots of jobs, even a small organisation like me. If you're supporting 15 or 20 people, that's a lot. And so think about, it's got to be driven by the consumer. And I'm really pleased some of our big major customers have briefs now that they have to have more Australian-made content in their stores. That's bringing a lot of private label work our way, and rightly so. And there is value, because every cent that you're keeping in the country is supporting not just other people and jobs, it's ultimately supporting yourself.
And the money's staying in Australia.
Exactly.
It's not some fund overseas or whatever.
And most importantly, have a sense of pride.
Yes. Yeah.
I think people should be proud of what can be done in Australia.
The shampoo bar is my favourite, and I notice there's not a lot of soap scum, and I think it's because it's vegetable-based.
Now, Tammy, our Box TV hubster from Farber Heights in the Illawarra, is cooking for us baked apple and cinnamon oats.
Yum.
It's a family favourite of theirs, and it's healthy. It can be used for breakfast, lunch, or just for a side snack.
Looking for extra ways to add bone broth into our breakfast. Today we're going to make apple and cinnamon baked oats. Bone broth adds extra nutrient density to a meal and extra protein, so it's a great way to sneak it in there. You won't even taste the bone broth. First we need to soak the oats. So the night before, this takes 5 minutes to do. You just need rolled oats, walnuts or almonds, both you can get through box divvy, water and a little bit of lemon. So we start off with 2 cups of oats, and this meal does my whole family for breakfast. Half a cup of almonds, or walnuts, and I just do a quick chop. 3 cups of water and just a tablespoon of lemon juice, and I just always eyeball this one. Perfect. I cover that and leave it overnight. The next morning, first thing, we turn the oven on. 180 degrees. Then we need to drain our soaked oats, and I let that drain. Put 2 tablespoons of butter on to melt while I'm chopping up the apples, or you can use coconut oil as well. Now, 2 apples or 2 pears. Last week I was using old pears that were ripening really quickly, or bruised apples, anything works. I just take the core out, peel and chop up your apples into pieces. Pop that all into your bowl. So really what we're doing is just mixing all the ingredients together. Now the other ingredients that we need, all through box divvy, except for the homemade broth, Norco milk, we need baking powder, maple syrup, an egg, and some cinnamon and salt. So now I'm going to get my drained oats, add that to the bowl and add everything else and mix it all up together. We need 3/4 of a cup of milk, 3/4 of a cup of bone broth or chicken stock, 1 egg, 1/4 of a cup of maple syrup. You can also use honey. So we like to alternate between honey or maple syrup. A teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon of baking powder. Okay. Now I've just got to add my butter and give it all a good mix and pop it in the oven. Depending on the type of broth you're using, this one's quite jelly, like jelly. If I'm using chicken stock that I've made, it's not so much like jelly, and that's fine. A little tip, I don't like butter in my pan every time. I scrunch it up and then it seems to just sit in there nice and easy, and then you just need to pour the mixture in, and that goes into the oven for 35 minutes until it's nice and golden. Okay, now the baked oats have been cooking for 35 minutes. As you can see, they're nice and golden, nice and brown. And now's the best bit. I love having it with the Evian natural yogurt and a drizzle of honey. Perfect. I hope you like it.
Our next podcast,
Number 8.
is our Christmas special. So it'll be our final podcast for the year, and we will have some tips for Christmas. The key is in the planning and the prep, and we're going to help you through that, break it down, delegate, more joy and less stress for this Christmas, hey?
Oh, just to relax. Christmas. We're going to have Christmas recipes, but Lee, we're going to have an ebook as well of these recipes, so you can download those. Until
Next time, Jayne.
Unsupermarket.